Th- I got to experiment. I got to experiment. I think you've seen this before. I think you've seen this before. Now, watch this, and I if there are any females who happen to come across this, I want you to tell me, what do you see? Welcome back to the channel. Continuing on the next subject matter of what needs to be expunged, deleted, neutered, castrated from the male psyche as far as society is concerned. Well, females and male who have female tendencies. Just a reminder, if you haven't seen any of the previous videos, there are 20 manly traits that need to be left behind because they need to be challenged and redefined, because it's 2024 or 2023. Apparently, every time a new year comes into focus, oh, it's a new year, things are supposed to change. It's not like, it was hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. Because these traits are limiting and harmful, society as a whole, and they're due to societal pressures and media representation. It restricts men's self-expression and personal growth, and dismissing things from self-care and avoiding household responsibilities, blah blah blah. Anyway, let's continue on. The next one is the silent treatment. Using the silent treatment as a means of avoiding difficult conversations or expressing displeasure is an immature and unproductive communication tactic. First off, tactics, female. Healthy relationships, romantic or platonic, require open and honest communication, encouraging men to express their feelings and engage in constructive dialogue, essential for fostering deeper connections and resolving conflict. Again, men being silent and saying, well, your silence is immature. Tactic is nonsense. It's not a tactic. It's understood that a majority of things don't need to be discussed off rip. These don't need to be discussed, either because you've been down this road again, or because the person is not capable of handling this conversation in a constructive manner, or you have to ponder and really work out, is this worth, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is there anything viable that can come from this conversation? It's not silent treatment just because for pouting sakes. That's what females do. In the Philippines, it's called tampo. They don't get their way for whatever reason, whatever it is, and you can get the silent treatment for hours to days. This is not a tactic for males. This is a tactic for females. Everybody knows that, and the fact that this author tried to put it as a tactic for males is disingenuous. Stop conflating what you know to be female habits with male habits. Let's listen to this first individual. Hear what she has to say. This is just talking without really putting a lot of thought into what you're saying.
I've been thinking more about the power of money and what my rich friends have. The biggest privilege my rich friends have.
She's saying her rich friends. Remember this. Rich friends, highly likely that they come from a two-parent household. Highly likely. Not absolute, but highly likely. Wealthy friends come from wealthy families.
It's not Chanel bags, Rolexes, and Maseratis, but options. They have the option to ponder and think about what they really want to do, what they're really passionate about. They tend to stay in school longer, in graduate school, to think more about the path they want to take, or travel more to expand their scope of the world and to hone who they are. They have
the ability, when you come from a wealthy family, to actually not feel the stresses of, do we have food in the refrigerator? Do we have gas to put in a car? Do we have to worry about gunshots whizzing through the window? Do we have to worry about stick-up kids at the end of the block? Do we have to worry about the schools are subpar and we're barely getting an education? She's arguing against that because, listen,
cushion and support where even if they fall and what they do doesn't pan out, there's always a safety net. But this comes at a cost. If you know that there's always a safety option and something you can back on, knowing that you don't have to work your ass off to make a living because a hefty trust fund is coming your way, you can.
The ability to make mistakes and not suffer immensely from those mistakes is a problem. She's arguing against having the luxury to say, I want to try this and not suffer huge consequences, i.e. homelessness, incarceration, prostitution, alcoholism, abuses of pharmaceuticals. The ability to actually do and say, let me see how this works. I think I would enjoy this is bad because you get handicapped. Now, there are negative sides to it, but arguing against coming from a wealthy family, i.e. predominantly a two-family household, she's arguing against that.
Fall the ladder and take a lot of things for granted and waste away the opportunities you were given. Money definitely puts you ahead of the starting line. It's like doping and gives unfair advantage. But if you're
coming from a wealthy family is an unfair advantage. When lion seals or sea lions, I can't remember which one it is, say, you know what? We know that the penguins are going to be hatching their young around this time of the year. We're going to hang around the waters that we know that not only the parents will be, but the young penguins will be. And we're going to gorge ourselves. We're going to eat good. Nobody ever says, oh, well, they're taking advantage of it. They say this is the natural order of things. Arguing against advantages is insane. I don't believe, in my opinion, she really thought this out. Because nobody would say, oh, well, a sane person would not argue against an advantage in life. In my opinion, nobody with a sane mind would argue against having that advantage. Nobody would say, oh, well, it's unfair that the hyenas hunt down the wildebeest around the time that they know that they're going to be giving birth to the baby wildebeest. They say nature is harsh or nature is cruel. Okay, but nobody is saying, well, we're going to exterminate all of the hyenas so the wildebeest can have their calves born without the threat of being consumed freshly born. They don't even have their legs up under them. This one silence from us, but we wish y'all would ponder more before you open your mouth.
You're not going to practice and put in the effort you need to win the race and banking on doping to win yourself a gold medal, there's no guarantee. And even if then, is it worth the win?
Is it worth it? Having the luxury, having the backing to try things. I don't understand. I don't understand how you would argue against coming from a wealthy family. Yes, there are negatives that come with that, but yet and still, who would argue against a child being born into a wealthy family? Now, all the negatives can come with the parents being indifferent and being self-consumed with the wealth that they have acquired or that was passed to them. Those are, as a whole, not completely, but as a whole, just bad parenting. In my opinion. If you have the luxury of being a stay-at-home mom and raising your children up to an age, having a private tutor and so on and so forth, and giving them the breathing room to try things. Oh, I think I want to go into psychology, or I want to go into architecture, or I want to just to be able to say I want to pursue this and try this out, knowing full well I have no idea what you want to do at a young age. I know plenty of people who have graduated with college degrees and I know a guy who graduated with a degree in physics because he was too far in to change his major. And last I knew of, he was not using that degree at all. So the luxury of being able to make mistakes is a plus, but based on what she said, it's a problem.
Psychology Today back at it again. So their investigation of a nationally representative sample of more than 23,000 mothers found that single mothers did less housework and spent more time on leisure and sleeping than married mothers.
So this female she is giddy that there is a paper that says single mothers have more free time and leisure. So being a single mother is better than being a wife because you have more time to oneself to do what you want to do as opposed to what would be required of a married woman who has to raise the child, who is able to raise the child with a greater degree of assurity that they're going to be able to make their child a positive, what's the word I'm looking for? They have the luxury to make sure that the child, to a certain degree, a positive asset to society. She's giddy that single mothers have more free time.
What's more, the single mothers managed all that while spending no less time caring for their children. These mothers were between the ages of 18 and 54 and were living with children under the age of 13. The married mothers were all married to a man, and their time use was compared to that of mothers who had never been married, as well as mothers who were divorced or separated. Mothers cohabitating with a man were also included. The authors compared married mothers to 3 different categories of unmarried mothers. The findings were clearest for the never married mothers. Their advantages over married mothers were usually the greatest. They did less housework than the married mothers and spent more time on leisure and sleeping.
With a Cheshire cat grin on her face, she's happy that single mothers from never married to divorced have more time to themselves. That sounds very selfish to me. That sounds like a selfish endeavor to say, oh, well, if I'm a single mother, I get more time to myself. I get more time to pursue my own hobbies. As if the children are going to be forever keeping you back from hobbies under the umbrella of marriage.
Divorced mothers also spent less time on housework and more time sleeping than the married mothers, but the differences were a bit smaller. And this one right here is real interesting. What about mothers who were cohabitating? They are living with a male romantic partner but not married. Perhaps then they don't feel the same pressure to sacrifice their own sleep and leisure to do more of the chores.
They want more sleep. She's happy that they can get more sleep, as if the children are going to be infants and toddlers for eternity. I think silence is golden here. I think that not running out and celebrating this would be to the advantage of not only her, but those who are celebrating what she is reporting.
The cohabitating mothers did the same amount of childcare and housework as the married mothers, and they got the same amount of sleep, but they spent a lot more time on leisure. So tell me again why being single as a woman is a bad thing. I'll wait.
When women marry men, they gain about 7 hours of additional daily work, like cooking and cleaning and picking up around the house, compared to single women. This is women without children. So women who marry men gain 7 hours. Men lose an hour of daily work. So the difference for men is very small, but the difference for women is very big.
Second-year nurse anesthesia student who got divorced at the beginning of this year, here to say that even with...
I don't understand this celebration to divorce. It is a very odd behavior to me. I heard that some celebrity got divorced, so she turned her wedding ring, engagement ring, a band, or whatever, into some other, a divorce ring or something. And now, of course, jewelers are jumping on that, saying, hey, well, how do we extract more money out of females? Well, let's say, well, we can help you after you get your divorce to turn that band or that engagement ring into something else. So as a celebratory token of your divorce. I don't understand. Want us to talk? We want to think things out before we do and or say anything. I don't think there's this is not good talking like this. She is going to rule the day that she got on here celebrating her divorce like this. This does not bode well for her in the future, in my opinion.
All of the legal paperwork and changing 11 different nursing licenses that I have so much more time now that I'm divorced. With the amount of time that I now have, now that I'm single, I have picked up hobbies and I now pour like 15 more hours a week into my education business. In addition to like learning anesthesia as a nurse anesthesia student. I have time to be a full-time grad student, run my business, go on dates, hang out with my friends, have hobbies, and still sleep at the end of the day, and everything stays so much.
How do you run a successful business on top of all of this leisure? There are very few endeavors that just work by themselves without you constantly putting into it before you hit this level to where it just makes money by itself without you really doing anything. There are very few things that do that, and even those that do, it is a rarity. How do you have a business, but you still have time for hobbies, hanging out with your friends, sleeping, partying? How do all of those coincide with you growing a business to where you don't have to worry about anything later on?
Cleaner. Broadly speaking, society lies to young women to tell them that they need to have this fairy tale ending with their Prince Charming to be happy, when in reality, you're going to...
How's it a fairy tale ending? If you look at any Disney movie, this was Sleeping Beauty or Snow White, or even Coming to America, the end of the movie is the female on a chariot while people around her celebrating her being married to the prince or what have you. How is that the ending? How's that something you aspire for, is to be in a coach drawn by a white horse or white horses, people throwing stuff at you, celebrating and clap? How is that an ending?
To end up like taking care of the Prince Charming who's initially nice to you, and then you would be way happier by yourself. Or to Princess Charming. I would be open to a Princess Charming type of situation.
Isn't it funny? The Prince Charming is I was having this discussion some time ago. I kind of think that all these fairy tales, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, and Tangle, and all, I think this is a cautionary tale for men, not necessarily a tale for females. Because if you look around and you see, like Aladdin, the father had to approve Jasmine marrying the street urchin. if you look at Tangled, the king and the queen approved the daughter marrying the former thief. If you look at all of the fairy tales, the father is involved. I think that's the reason why a vast majority of females are having the poor outcomes, because the father is not involved. They want to cite, oh well, the Disney princesses are what the females are aspiring for, but the fathers 90+% of the time are not involved in any way, shape, or form. I've seen many of videos where the young lady ended up getting deleted, and the family was like, well, we only met him once or twice. She had a whole kid with him, lived in a house with him. It went sideways. Then the family, which is nothing but females, are talking about, well, we only met him once or twice, or they never met him at all. So it seems like these Disney stories are not for females, because females as a rule are not following what goes on in these movies, because the father, for vast majority of those fairy tales, is involved, from approving to selecting who the daughters are going to be with. So this whole fairy tales is the cause. I think it's for men. I think it would say, hey, fellas, if we don't get an understanding of female nature without the father's involvement, we don't know what's going to happen. So this is what should happen. And they had no idea what would happen when fathers are not involved. Yeah, patriarchy, which does not exist, which is the reason why women are having the results that they're having, to their detriment or to their deletion, more importantly.
Here's an example of what one of my paychecks looks like. Now look, I mean,
Go back and watch the rest of that video. Basically, he's talking about his paycheck and what he has left after child support, which is hardly nothing. And I get it. He tired. He frustrated. Welcome to parenthood. See, imagine being a single parent who has the child with them all the time. Let that sink in. Imagine having to pay for health insurance, family health.
Okay, so if he's paying child support, they always court order him to pay medical and dental and vision expenses. So I don't think she really thought this through, as far as stating, oh, well, yeah, it sucks for you, but really look this is what I'm talking about. They want men to talk more, but men, we really, as a rule, try to think things out before we get in front of a camera, especially, and start just saying stuff without even understanding what we're saying. It seems like she's trying to say, well, look over here because you're complaining, but I don't really think she's thought this through. When we talk, we want to make sure that it is of value, it accomplishes something, or for clarity, not just to gloat. As a rule, I know there are men out there that just contrary to what I'm saying, but we're not the ones saying, oh, we wish women would talk more.
Insurance, which costs a couple hundreds every month. Wait. Now imagine just to even go to work, having to pay before.
But the more women choose to embrace themselves, their appearance, their body hair, and everything that is deemed a flaw, the less societal beauty standards will have an impact on us, and we will be free. Like, we won't be embarrassed to be ourselves. So ladies, come on. We have the power.
Okay, so the men who she has come across have had the conversation with her. Otherwise, she would not be making this advertisement PSA. What are the chances that a ma'am, miss, young lady, baby, whatever? Yeah, the chest here is not appealing to me. Why don't you wax that off? How does that conversation seem like it would go? Because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of hurt, a lot of anger, disbelief going on in the mind of ladies like her, because I saw this bearded lady. She wants a $250,000 man while she has a beard, full beard. There seems like no real way. When men do talk, it comes with a lot of pushback, a lot of a lot of shaming, insult, guilt, uh, you know. But then you say, "Oh well, we need you to talk more." But when we talk, we get hella pushback, and over simple stuff. Remember the thing with Kevin Samuels, just smile more. Pushback. No bonnets. Pushback. Exercise. Pushback. So when there is a conversation to be had, and even in a healthy manner, anger, animosity, guilt, all of the things come about. So they say they want us to be open and honest, but it never turns out well. It never turns out well. No. These beauty standards. Okay. When you talk about European beauty standards, Black females, when you talk about European beauty standards, my question is, why do they have beauty contests where all various white females competing in it, of all different shapes and sizes? If there's a standard, why is there even a beauty contest to have? Wouldn't they be able to just pick anybody off the street over in Europe and say, we want you to represent in the Miss Universe? They don't have it anymore, but wouldn't that be how it goes? If there's a beauty standard, and you cannot say, oh, well, pale skin, because there's several degrees of pale skin. Just like in the Black community, you got people who are dark skin don't like light skin, and people light skin don't like dark skin. It happens in the Philippines. They got Morenos, which are the dark skin Filipinos, and you got the fair skin Filipinos. Thailand, same thing. China, same thing. So is it a standard, or is it, I don't want to hug a woman and her chest hair is coarser than mine? I don't want to be on top of a female and her chest hair is glistening with sweat. I don't want to suckle like a baby and have long, coarse hairs getting stuck in between my teeth. But it's a problem when you talk, when you do express yourself. I got an experiment. I think you've seen this before. Now, watch this, and I if there are any females who happen to come across this, I want you to tell me, what do you see? Now, I'm making an assumption. I do not know for fact what I am watching. I am making assumptions, but I'm pretty sure the assumptions that I'm making about what is being viewed are going to be vastly different from what females watching this are assuming is being viewed. Okay. Have you come to a conclusion? Because I've shown this to two other people. And one was kind of, well, I don't know. I don't think they wanted to say what they saw, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say what I think most females will say what is occurring in this. Okay, so you have a female walking around and you have the man sitting down. So automatically, she's in servitude. I want to say most females say, well, why is she walking around and she's serving other men? Why is she doing that? Why can't she sit down? Why can't he serve her? Now, you saw her, he put something on the tray. He grabs a sweet napkin. Next man, he puts something on the tray, grabs a sweet, takes a napkin. Out the pocket, put something on the tray, grabs a sweet, napkin. Same thing, tray, sweet, napkin. Tray, sweet, napkin. Now, the mother, I want to say that is a mother. Not sure it's her mother or in-laws. She doesn't put anything on a tray. This is what I see. They just got married. I'm making assumptions. I think I've seen the before this when they woke him into the house. Now, what she is doing is exchanging, I believe, sweets for a wedding gift. Money, I want to say. Money, 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 money. So I think she's responsible for the finances because they are giving her the money as opposed to the groom. The older couple towards the end, I can't see. But I know the lady, big head girl, I'm just joking. The lady she's serving sweets to, that is either her mother or her mother-in-law. In time, when the bride and groom have children and they are older, she will be sitting in that seat. So I think this is a cycle of reverence from one generation to the next. I want to say I believe most females who saw this were fuming. Like, this don't make no sense. Why is she doing it? Why she got to walk around? There's a chair. She should be able to sit down. But when men say we want a traditional woman and to be in a traditional marriage, we get pushback. The new pushback is 50-50. Or the other pushback is the woman asking the men to marry them. So I say all this to say that when the men do point things out and do say something, the pushback is to the point where we really got to weigh, and this starts from when we're young, we really got to weigh out, is this worth a conversation? Is this a necessary conversation? If it's a necessary conversation, do we believe that it's going to bear any fruit? Is it going to be better understanding so we can move on to another subject or move on with our lives? just talking for the sake of talking, that's predominantly females. And that sounds sexist, but talking without fear of pushback, that is females. And to say that you want men to just talk, and knowing full well, knowing full well that being able to talk freely for men is not a reality. So many things that have to be taken into consideration. Can I go to work and just say anything to a female? Fired. Can't say anything to your wife, your girlfriend, fiance. You can't. No, that does not exist. That is a lie to say that a man can speak freely. Setting us up, trying to set us up for failure, trying to set young men who will eventually become men up for failure. That's what you're doing. You're trying to act oblivious to the fact, but men know you can't just have sit down, heartfelt conversations with females because you're not built to deal with, hey, this is the reality of the situation. Because the animosity, anger, so on and so forth it ain't worth it. But you lie to say, oh, well, we want men to be more open to conversations. And then you try to use this tactic to, to say, oh, well, let me see. We're avoiding difficult conversation. Yeah, we're not stupid. You want to make us stupid to say, oh, well, you can just talk. No, it's a lie. And then the shaming, immature. Really? Oh, tactic, shaming. Really? Constructive dialogue. No. You're setting young men up for failure. We're supposed to be thoughtful and introspective. I think that's the word. We're supposed to really work stuff out on the fly. I play conversations I have over in my head all the time. I can attest that people have been like, oh, no, don't worry about it. I was like, but I thought about it later and I was like, I hope it didn't come off wrong. That's what men do. Either quiet for the sake of peace or quiet because we're trying to figure out, is this something that needs to be done or not? Period, point blank. But to try, oh, well, you're being immature and, we need to, we want to be able to have deeper conversations. No, you don't. You're a liar. And you're lying to young men that you're trying to convince that this is the way to go. And it's cruel that you would do this. Knowing full well and even ignorantly believing that this is what you want. Anyway, that's all I have. Please consider liking, subscribing, commenting below. Thank you.
Still love you. Take care.